Hi, you guys. It is Sunday the 19th. Time is marching along here. Um, I'm going to do a little playing today. I did not sleep at all last night. I think like everybody else, I'm just feeling some stress and anxiety and all that. So um, I'm just going to tell a couple of stories here, and then I'll do something in a little bit. Um, On my last one, when I was ending up with Lyle Lovett, I got into a discussion, and I think I mentioned Jimmy Reed in that. Now, I'm going to make kind of a convoluted story here because we have a band now called The Immediate Family, and we're doing some, like so many other people, we're doing some a cappella, the app Acapella. We're doing some videos with that, with some songs. And one of the songs we're just finishing up now is a Jimmy Reed song called "The Sun Is Shining." But for me, this I'll get to this, but it goes way back into the second half of the '60s. I ended up hooking up with a gentleman, an amazing cat, George Harmonica Smith, who was probably one of the greatest blues harp players that ever came out of Chicago. And there's stuff of his on YouTube, but the guy was an amazing cat to be with. And it was through George that, because we would go up and we'd play in San Francisco, Berkeley, we would play the Mandrake Club, we did all these things. We were playing in Watts when the Watts riots broke out at a place called the Kit Kat Club, doing after hours where we would play like midnight to 6 a.m. And it was an amazing time. It was through George that I got to meet, I got to play with Albert Collins, played with Pee Wee Creighton, played with Magic Sam, Big Mama Thornton. There was just so many of these people that were in his circle that I ended up getting to play with. And a lot of times, we would end up like when we played at the Mandrake Club in Berkeley, we were staying in the, I think it was the California Hotel in Oakland. And somebody said, I was still in college at this time, and somebody said to me, will we be able to call you? How can we reach you? And I said, well, you just call the hotel and ask for the white guy, because I was the only white guy involved in this stuff at this time with George. And but then there was a guitar player that was involved too, in and out, named Greg Leroy, who was the other token guy in the group. But it was unbelievable time with George, getting to play that really incredible roots music. And it was through George that I ended up getting to play with Jimmy Reed. And one of the gigs we did was at the Golden Bear in Southern California, down in, I think it's Hermosa Beach. It's one of the old traditional great clubs in LA. And I think it's long gone. But it was one of the most out things I've ever experienced too, because we're up there playing, and Jimmy's up there on stage in this beige suit, just playing, you got me running, you got me hiding. And all these kids are just looking at him, just like, oh man, this is like the well. This is where it all came from. All of a sudden, man, front of his pants just soak. Beige pants suddenly got real dark. And he just stood there and he looked at the crowd and goes, when you gotta go, you gotta go. And just kept right on playing. And then at another point during the show, he sits down in a chair and he's playing and he's rocking back and forth. And the chair tips over backwards and he doesn't stop playing. So all you see from an audience standpoint is the bottom of the chair and the bottom of his shoes. And then when the song finished, we helped get him back up again and stuff. I mean, it was one of those things where you just go, man, nobody would believe this if they hadn't been there and seen this go down. But I owe all those relationships to George, and then a long story made longer. When I first moved into my neighborhood, one of my neighbors is Dr. Dan Eisenberg, who's a cardiologist, and he was one of the heavyweights in the AMA. And he was kind of like Doogie Howser. I mean, I met this guy and he's walking around the neighborhood smoking a cigar in his overalls and stuff, and looks like a kid at that time. He's like this young guy, and but he's like a heavy doctor, smart as a whip. And we start talking. Hold on just a minute. Well, I'm going to get this thing pointed up properly here. Sorry. And we start talking. It turns out Dan is also a blues harp player. And when I mentioned George to him, man, his eyes lit up. And he said George was my absolute favorite blues harp player ever. He said he was an amazing player. And the tragedy was he was with George when he died. George was brought into the hospital with a heart condition, and he passed there, and Dan was the attending physician with him. So there's so many of these stories that are just so convoluted when I look back at them. But I've been talking about the immediate family, and I just wanted to clarify a few things. Some people keep saying, "Oh man, that's the Section." Well, the Section was a band that Russ and myself and Cooch were in, along with the great keyboard player Craig Durgee. That was the band we had in the very early days with James Taylor and Jackson Browne. And we did 3 albums, 1 on Capitol and 2 on Warner Brothers. And then eventually by the end of the 70s, we disbanded the group. We were getting no support, or nothing was going on, still just a cult band. But a few years ago, we ended up, Danny Korchmar got a record deal with a label in Japan. And when the time came for Cooch to do his record, he thought, well, I'm just going to see if the guys are around. And he called me, he called Russ, he called Waddy Wachtel, who he's like, we're all brothers. I mean, this is really a group, a band of brothers. And Cooch had been working with another songwriter, guitarist, singer, producer named Steve Postel. And I had done one of Steve's albums, and I'd done a bunch of live gigs with Steve. So we went into the studio. Jackson Browne gave us his studio in Santa Monica to work in, and we spent a week with Nico Bolas Engineering. And we just hauled through and did this record with Cooch. And when it was only for Japanese release, and when the album was finished, he just called it's Danny Korchmar and the Immediate Family, because we are really family and really immediate. And then through all of this, we've now just finished our 2nd album that's going to be released in Japan, and we also have a deal with an American label, and that'll be coming out later in the year. Because of the virus, everything's in flux right now. The stuff's going to happen. It's just time frames and all of that. But and then when we can, we'll go back to Japan. We've had really great tours in Japan. We have a really strong following in Japan. But it's just been interesting because out of this, there's a great movie, and if you haven't seen it, you should check it out, called The Wrecking Crew. And it's about the amazing studio musicians. I've talked about this in some of my earlier videos, though, of these great musicians that kind of dominated the LA music scene from the late 50s up into the 70s. And we're talking, Hal Blaine and Tommy Tedesco and all these guys, Carol Kay, the amazing Carol Kay. But Denny Tedesco made the Wrecking Crew movie about these guys because they were unsung heroes for the fact that their names never appeared on records. So nobody knew who was on all these albums, and it was the same bunch of guys. But their run was maybe about 12 years, and for the most part, they never left the studio. They worked around the clock. They were just the busiest musicians in the world at that point, doing everything. So they saw no need to ever go on the road or do anything like that. The spin so Denny came, Tommy's son Denny, who made the Wrecking Crew movie, came to us, and they're doing a movie about the immediate family. And we talked about it, and he said, well, big difference is The fact that they were together about 12 years doing what they did, and we've been together for 50 years now, and we're still amongst the first call players and still at it. Plus, we played on or wrote or produced so many of the projects that we were on, and we toured them, which the others never did. So they're two different things. If people are going that have heard about, oh, it's like Wrecking Crew 2. It's really not. It's a completely different approach to this, but we've got that going on. And it's been really a fun thing. And the more we look at it, especially in this day and age, we're thinking about, we are the immediate family, but we're looking at the immediate family as a global immediate family right now, because we're all in this situation that's going on. We're all in this together, and it's the far reaches of the globe. I'm getting people writing to me from Australia, from Asia, from the Middle East, from Europe, from Scandinavia. I mean, it's really a remarkable thing to have this relationship. Oops, a message just came in. It's probably not money, so I'm going to ignore it. But it's been really a profound thing to every day read all the notes that I'm getting and reading, news articles and seeing interviews and seeing other people's sites. What an incredible community and family this has all become. So we are the immediate family as a band, but we are also the immediate family as humanity. And it's a period where there's some terrible, terrible things taking place, but there's out of this darkness, there's some really positive things in terms of how people are looking at life and relationships and priorities and how they deal with everything. That hopefully when everything gets back to whatever the new normal is going to be, that we'll remember the positive sides that this has brought out in people and be able to maintain those. So I'm going to be jumping into, I've got a whole bunch of ideas for other things to be playing. I'm just about finished up with Phil Collins here, so I'm going to dig through some other material and other projects that I've done and do that. But I thought I would just take a tune off of the Danny Korchmar and the Immediate Family album that we did 2 years ago, I think it was. This is one of the tracks from that album that I'm going to play along with. It's a lot of fun. The guys are all great writers on this. I mean, Waddy Wachtel did a lot of work with Warren Zevon. He's been Stevie Nicks' musical director for a long time, but he co-wrote Werewolves of London and Johnny Strikes Up the Band, and incredible body of work. And Cooch wrote a lot of songs. He did stuff with James Taylor, like Honey Don't Leave L.A. and Machine Gun Kelly. He wrote with he wrote, brain freeze right here. All She Wants to Do Is Dance with Henley, Dirty Laundry with him. Russ has written and produced songs. He's worked a lot with Jimmy Buffett, and he's been working with Lyle Lovett for years. And Steve has done a lot of work with people like David Crosby and people. So it's a real great amalgamation, but we got this one song that's just really a fun song to play. It's a lot of times this would be like the second encore just to watch people rock. So this is a song that Cooch wrote called Cruel Twist, which is kind of apropos at this point. So I'm going to jump into that and then say goodbye when we finish up here. So hold on just a second. Here we go. Oops, that's not it. That's not it. Where did Cruel Twist go? Sorry for this. I hate that when... There we go.
Would be good.
twist. So that was off of the Danny Korchmar and the Immediate Family album that we released. It was only in Japan, but it's going to be for sale, I believe, on our website that's being built right now. And I'm going to try to get some sleep tonight because I'm really crisp today. Been doing all kinds of stuff and just kind of tired. And but more than anything, I just wanted to come in and say hi to everybody. Wish you as good a Sunday as we can all muster up at this point. I watched that the tribute to the first responders last night on TV, and it was great to see everybody, giving theirs for this, and more than anything, just seeing the footage of all the people working in the hospitals and giving out, passing out food and helping people that are in really desperate need. So I thought it was really a great event that they put on, and I'm really proud of everybody that contributed to that. Could almost do that on a daily basis. And I'm watching the news and just seeing, what the people are going through in the hospitals. It's just quite staggering when the human spirit is pushed in a positive direction. It can do the most miraculous things, and it really counteracts the really dark negative things that can come out of a humanity. So my heart again is with all of the amazing people that are working tirelessly around the clock to try to save lives and save the world as we know it. And it really runs the gamut from doctors and nurses and firemen and policemen and the people supplying the food, stocking the food, working the cash registers, delivering the mail. I mean, there's so many things that go on in our daily lives that we take for granted. And all of a sudden, when they're really put on the line like this, you really see who can step up and really do the right thing. And man, I give kind of shout outs every time, like if I'm out walking the dogs or going anywhere and I see these cops going by or anything, man, I just like salute them. I am so proud of these people. And I think it's imperative at this point to be as diligent and smart as you possibly can, because there's a lot of crap being fed to people. And I'm seeing all these yahoos out there in states that are running around now with their AK-47s and their Confederate and Nazi flags saying "Free America." All this bullshit and insanity that's being kind of puked in their direction. Any of those people could kill you. If they've got this virus and they're around you and they're gladly walking around and talking and basically spitting in your face or coughing on you or anything, they're signing your death warrant, and you don't deserve that. And nobody deserves that. So really heed the real professionals' warnings and the people who are really thinking this out. And if they say, man, this is still running rampant, stay in your house as much as you can and cover up when you go out as best you can. Do it. Your life, your family's life, your friends' lives, your world's lives depends on this. So there's a lot of nonsense going on. People saying a lot of stupid things just to try to raise ratings and worrying about elections and I mean, certainly we're all worried about the economy. I have no income coming in. All my work this year was canceled. If anything comes together, my next work is maybe October. There's things that have been bumped. But I would like to be alive in October to see this happen and not be another statistic, which would be easy to do if you don't take care of yourself. So please, man, I care about all of you guys so much out there, and this has been such a joy to do these videos. I know this one got really long-winded, and I apologize for going on and on about this, but to me, it's really important that we save as many lives as we possibly can on this. So I'll be back tomorrow. I'll find something. I've got a couple ideas for some things I want to try. And then I'm going to be doing lots of other people's material that I've worked on and stuff. So we'll get to that. But for now, just take care on your Sunday, whoever you're sequestered with, and just tell them you love them, hug them, and if you're all by yourself, just know there's people out there that care about you and love you, and are just hoping for the very best outcome for everybody here. So I'm going to reach over, hit my off knob, and I am out of here. So you take good care of yourselves.